I have to yell at people. But you will not find this opinion controversial. This is okay. So this is a Dane. This might be Kitty Styles. I'm not sure. What he's done as a tranny is actually extremely funny. He goes on Instagram as a man and posts on Instagram pictures of his male breast, of his budding breasticles on HRT, and he then reports himself. He reports himself in his male breast, and he says, "I'm a woman, and therefore these are female breasts." And he forces Instagram to action his own posts as if he was posting pornography, because bare breasts are not allowed on Instagram. And he basically it sounds convoluted because he is a sex pest and he's obviously trying to get away with being a sex pest on Instagram, right? But the way that he forces the moderators to moderate him reminds me so much of the of like Pepe shitting on the floor, and the Janny is crying in the background. He's basically doing that. He's taking a big old dump on Instagram. He's like, "Sweep it up, Jan. We got some female breast over here for you to delete," and then is forcing some poor Instagram Janny to look at his man bits and then delete them over and over again, and it cannot be stopped. So it is gross, yes, but it's also funny for the contrived reason that I mentioned. Dave Muscato. I've only mentioned him a couple times, so you'll have to give me a second to try and remember who he is. He's a fat loser. He's in his 40s. He had his parents are rich. I want to say that his father is a doctor or a lawyer. So pretty sure a doctor. And he makes a fuck ton of money. Dave, I think, is their only son, and he has always lived at their house. He's a absolute reprobate, irredeemable, has no qualities of a living, breathing human that would make it in a society without welfare. But his parents paid for him. And I can't remember exactly what caused the issue, but eventually he started calling his father like a rapist and started trying, I think, a rapist, and started trying to sabotage his job, like trying to sabotage his career as like a doctor by saying that he was guilty of sexual misconduct or something like that. It was something really, really awful for a son to do to his father, even though his father had been bankrolling his lifestyle for like 40 years. And then at some point, because of this, he had to move out, and his dad obviously stopped paying for his shit because he was trying to ruin his life and his entire life's work. And then now he's like, I want to say that he's suing his own father, or is just doing like a total online smear campaign from his hovel now because he's been kicked out. It's something like that. Oh, his father told him to not. Okay, that makes sense. That aligns with what I understand. So he put out this long post, and I will read it because I've been told it's very funny. And then I have a picture for you to show. So it's Danielle Muscato says, in 5th grade, I started growing out my hair and nails. I had no idea being transgender was, let alone that I label myself that, but I knew that I felt better presenting more femme to the extent that I could do that without adult help. In other words, I still had to wear the same masculine clothes my parents got me for my twin brother. Oh, he has a twin brother. Dude, that must suck. Imagine being the grossest, fattest retard ever, and you have a twin brother who is normal and successful. Can you imagine anything more soul crushing than having a twin that is not a loser when you are this creature? it's like there's like a saying, like a self-help expression, like when you when you try to motivate yourself, you should try to imagine what an ideal you would look like. What would you look like if you were exactly what you wanted to be? What would you look like 5 years from now if you started working today on being who you want to be? Like that kind of thing. But in Dave's life, he doesn't have to sit there and imagine. He can open up Facebook and go to his twin brother's account and see someone who looks exactly like him accomplishing things that he wish he could in his wildest fucking dreams, like he could do. He just is constantly sat in front of this mirror that mocks him. That's funny. Anyways, my teacher, Mr. Rothstein, pulled me aside one day and told me I needed to cut my nail and hair because I don't actually remember the reason he gave. I remember thinking, why? Other kids in class have long hair and long nails and they're allowed to do that. Why can't I? He said I would talk to my parents about it if I didn't, so I cut my nails. I can't imagine how different my life would have been if I had recognized that I was trans. If anyone, had told me what being transgender is, and that is a thing that exists. That teacher was gay himself, which my parents knew, but he didn't talk to his students about it, and I didn't find out until many years later. But like, I'm sure he was aware of trans people being gay himself. I just didn't have the language for it at the time. All I knew is I felt better. Dude, this is like 30 years ago at least. And it's like drag queen shit was just a thing that gay men did for fun. Like they just dressed up as like bimbos and were like, haha, I'm such a stupid teehee, and that was like funny to them. Um because they hate women. Oh wait, sorry, hamster. Go away. This is not news. This is Dave Muscato. He always sneaks in like that. He just sneaks in. Why does he do that? So no, the whole thing like, oh my god, we have to get you on bathtub estrogen right away. Like that would never happen. even in his wildest fucking fantasies, that would not happen. Uh, da, da, da. All I knew is I felt better with long hair and long nails, and it wasn't fair to my friends in class. Cis girls could have them, but I, for some reason, couldn't just because everyone insisted I was a boy. I was 10. I wish I had known what hormone blockers were. I mean, both of my parents are medical doctors, you know. I knew it was doctors. I didn't know that they were both doctors, though. Dude, that's so sad. You have two people who obviously have the intelligence to go through medical school and operate an office, a medical office themselves. And then they have two sons. And one is this fuck that that's so crazy. Like how do two smart people's genes zipper together in such a way that they result in this like 80 IQ abortion? Where is the line between nature and nurture, chat? Where is the line? It still makes me mad, and was one of the reasons I do trans activism today. I don't want other people to go through childhood not even knowing that being trans is an option, that there's a name for that in the whole community of people like me. Things are different with the internet now. The uppercase I internet. Ooh, my boy. See, that just shows you how old he is, because back in the day they spelled it correctly. Now they don't. I didn't have access to any of this kind of information when I was a preteen. I wanted you to know something like that. You had to physically go to the library and read about it until the encyclopedia set. Google didn't exist until I was in high school. The only source of information about this kind of stuff came from our parents, our teachers, and a priest. I've known I was trans ever since I first became aware that there was different genders in the first place. I was probably 5 or so when I realized something was wrong. They always say this. They always like retcon their entire childhood and be like, there I was, a 3-year-old. My first memory, vivid. I was at the Walmart trying to wear a dress, but my mommy said, no, that is a girl's clothes, and she slapped my little wrist. That was a traumatic memory. That was my first memory, and it was a traumatic memory. I wish I had known then what I know now. Like every single time. He goes back and tries to like pretend that he knew the entire time that one day he would become a addict and try to cut off his own. I didn't know that there were people like me. I didn't understand what it was. I just knew there were two categories they divide kids into, and they put me in the wrong one, but I didn't know how to explain it I didn't know how to explain it or talk to anyone about it. I just knew. So if you knew when you were 5, why didn't you like tell anyone? Why didn't you ask your parents about it? Why are there no pictures of you in dresses? Why didn't why? I just didn't have the words for it because no teacher taught me that transgender was even a thing. Okay, cool cop out. I wish the adults in my life had done a better job of educating us. We did have sex ed that year, 5th grade for the first time. They separated the boys from the girls, and our usual teacher, the gay guy, talked to the boys, and another teacher, a Sith woman, talked to the girls in another room. I remember that I wanted to go with the girls because all my friends were in that group, but they wouldn't let me. On the boys' side, basically all I remember is they told us we would start growing body hair, pubic hair, and they told us about wet dreams. There was absolutely, dude, I was also taught about wet dreams. I have never had a wet dream. I don't know if that's like they really want us like, okay, you will wake up with jizz in your pants frequently. If this happens, do not worry. You have not sprung a leak. You are not dying. You have merely had a nocturnal emission. And that has never happened in my entire fucking life. I don't know if that's like an indictment on me or what. Stop gooning. You don't get them if you jerk off. I was not jerking off like as like in 5th grade. I think some Jewish doctor invented wet dreams. They don't exist. Nocturnal emission. That's the polite medical term for a wet dream. Kind of like how the I remember in AP history they taught us that the polite Latin word for pulling out was coitus interruptus. That's how they taught it. They taught us about how in the at a certain point in time people became aware that if they just pulled out after climaxing and didn't come inside, they wouldn't have babies. And this was formerly known as coitus interruptus. John Money invented wet dreams. This is another okay. My chat's about to break out into civil war between those who believe in wet dreams and those who don't believe in wet dreams. I got someone quitting opiates. That's weird. Okay, fuck it. I'm not reading chat anymore. You guys are weird. On the boys' side, basically, I remember what dreams there was absolutely zero mention of queerness whatsoever. That I remember. This was in a small town in Missouri in the 1990s. It's either Missouri or Virginia. Something about those states. Children deserve to know the truth that trans people exist, that being trans is normal and common. There's a label for that in a community of people like this. I thought I was alone, that there was something wrong with me. I thought I should be ashamed of feeling this way, and I was supposed to hide it, so I did. Someone had said to me when I was 10, I see you're growing out your nails and your hair. If there's anything I could do that would make you feel more comfortable in your body, anything that would make you feel. Dude, if I saw an adult talk to a 10-year-old and say, is there anything you want to do that would make you more comfortable in your body? Anything that would make you feel like expressing yourself more authentically? Because I would have absolutely, I think that guy's but because absolutely anything I said that I want to wear, absolutely would have said that I want to wear dresses. I want to paint my nails. I want to wear earrings. I want to do things my friends were already doing. We didn't know there was a word for that. I didn't know that was an option. I thought I was disgusting thinking these things, and my parents would be angry and humiliated if I said anything about it. So I didn't. I could have come out when I was 10, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. There's a specific line in this I'm looking for. Extremely slut shaming. The messages they sent to me about gender and sexuality were homophobic, transphobic, and extremely slut shaming. So telling a little boy, cut your fucking nails and cut your hair, you look like shit, that's slut shaming. Dude, these people have like the most ass backwards concept of sexuality that has ever fucking my son is a slut. Dude, Jim and Dave at Sneed's Feed and Seed in Central Missouri. We're talking to us like, yeah, I think my boy's a slut. He wears fucking his hair long and shit. Sneed, you can't say that. That's slut shaming. It's 2024. Lord have mercy. I came out as bisexual when I was 16. I was terrified to tell my parents because I knew they would be angry, and I thought they would throw me out of the house. Which they apparently didn't fucking do until you were 40 years old. So that anger seems to be a little bit misplaced. Even though I was not yet sexually active, as soon as I came out to them, they forced me to go to their office and take a bunch of blood tests for HIV and all other STIs. Even though I told them I wasn't having sex, they didn't believe me. They assumed that being bi meant I was telling them I might have AIDS. It was so insulting and homophobic and humiliating. I know all the nurses at their office, they all work for my parents. I had to explain to them why I was being tested for this stuff. My life could have been so different if my parents weren't such bigots. There were so many stories I could tell you about the abuse they put me and my siblings through. My dad screaming at us, throwing temper tantrums like a toddler, throwing things at us, punishing us arbitrarily. So much emotional abuse and gaslighting and screaming. My mother was and still is so manipulative, passive aggressive, judgmental. She lies constantly over the most petty, ridiculous things. Both of my parents lie their asses off daily about everything. They're so two-faced, it really makes me sick. They both have narcissistic personality disorder. My dad has grandiose subtype, same as Donald Trump. My dad abused me. He is the same kind of person as Donald John Trump. Bum bum bum. Dude, that's how you know when the starts comparing you to Donald Trump, you're fucked. That's over. He wrote you in his book of grudges. You're going down. Literally, I have PTSD diagnosed because years and years of their child abuse, violence, emotional terrorism, emotional terrorism. I'm just imagining a world where on 9/11, Osama bin Laden did not orchestrate a plan that involved crashing two planes into the World Trade Centers, but instead managed to hack into the intercom system and said, this is a message from Osama bin Laden of Al Qaeda from Afghanistan. You will never be a real woman. You have no womb. You have no ovaries. You are a man twisted by drugs and medicine into a crude imitation of nature's perfection. It's like that, and it's like, oh my god, it's emotional terrorism. Thousands of people were triggered that day. Never forget. Um, Manipulation and lies. I feel so lucky that I survived all of that and got away. I'm in therapy and healing, but I'm friggin' 40 years old now. I feel like I'm so far behind where I wanted to be at this age because I'm still healing from all that abuse. I didn't get to have a real childhood where I got to figure out who I am and what I want because my parents wouldn't let me be myself. I almost feel like a 10-year-old now because I'm 40. Trans age. And I came out as trans when I was 30. I will never be the little girl in the pink dress, and it makes me want to cry every time I think about it. I will never be the little girl in the pink dress, and it makes me cry every time I think about it. He says, this is him. This is what the guy who wrote that sentence looks like. This is a recent picture of him. I think this is the most recent picture of Dave that they have. And that is a guy who is 40 something years old on Facebook writing 10 paragraph expository essays about how he's a victim of emotional terrorism, and he cries every day. He thinks about how he'll never be a 10-year-old girl in the pink dress. That never forget, chat, that when you read what these people say and the dumb shit they say, that it's not just like some lispy little queer crying behind a fucking keyboard. It's actually genuinely disgusting, monstrous people like this who are saying shit like that. Disgusting, chat. Disgusting. Alejandra Carabello, who may or may not be receiving a letter in the mail this week asking for their cooperation, has decided that calling the Kiwi Farms a host of illegal material was not dumb enough. They have, or sorry, actually, this just goes to show you what kind of quality education they teach people in Harvard Law School, because after the blunder that they made a couple weeks ago, they've learned their lesson. And now Alejandra Carabello has learned that when you do something that is accusing somebody of something criminal, you use plausible deniability. Someone out there, someone in this world bought ChiaRaichick.net and is now using it to criticize her. And it's a pseudo autobiographical website that basically accuses the Libs of TikTok lady of murder. So someone set up this website, someone who knows who has a lot of hatred for ChiaRaichick and also knows how to do internet shit, set up this website and is calling her a murderer. Someone. I'm sure this will work out fine for Carabello.